I'm John Gregg, editor of Farmterio. In this session of the Innovation Showcase at Canada's Digital Farm Show, we're looking at equipment innovations. We had a significant number of participants in this year's equipment innovations, including tools that will help you place cover crop seed better and manage your manure. Have a look. Manure is great for soil and crops, but it's not always easy to get it spread on a growing crop like corn. All Equip Repair and Service has come up with a way to inject manure into corn up to 42 inches using a hose system. Manfred Lorzell, owner of All Equip Repair and Service, is here to explain how they made it work. Welcome to the Innovation Showcase, Manfred.
Thank you.
So first of all, tell me about All Equip Repair and Service and what it does in the agriculture sector.
So we're mainly a service provider for repairing all sorts of agricultural equipment, but mostly our new avenue now is building farm equipment that's innovative and addresses old issues, perhaps puts new spins on them to make them more effective and at the end of the day, generate more money for the farmers.
And tell me about the reel spreader that you submitted to our Innovation Showcase. I certainly haven't seen anything like it around Ontario.
Well, it just came from a need of, we're talking to one of our customers, and he had expressed a concern over the way he was applying manure to his fields. And from there, we done a bunch of consultations with people that are in the industry, such as UMAFRA staff, past and present staff that were involved with manure management, and a few other stakeholders, a few other farmers, and the idea that there was a need for perhaps a better way of doing it. And from there, we kind of formulated an idea that perhaps could work at the time. 4 months ago, it was all just a theory. And from there, we laid the groundwork to come up with something that would be able to revolutionize the way we do things.
So take me through what it looks like. We'll put some pictures up over top of the video that can help show people. But yeah, run me through what it looks like and how it works.
Basically, it looks like a massive winch or a massive bobbin, as some of the guys call it here. But what it does is we take 3,900 feet of hose and we roll it up onto a single spool while it is under pressure. With manure. So essentially what you're doing is you're hooking the main line to your pump up, which is a high pressure pump, same as the drag hose system. And we then start traveling with that hose as it's being unrolled up and down the corn rows or crop rows, because it's meant for all crops essentially. And as we're traveling towards the one end of the farm, away from the pump, we're laying the hose out while we're applying manure in the rows. At the other end, we essentially turn around and we start picking the hose back up again. And this process can be done over and over again until we essentially run out of hose, because there's a little bit of limitations as to on the headlands as to how much hose we have available. So we're developing a system right now that'll hopefully help with that situation.
All right. So essentially lays the hose out all the way down the row. And then, it turns around and you basically, reel the same one when you come back the other way.
Yep, it just picks it back up again. We're applying manure in all 16 rows. So even that in-between row that happens, so the ends of the machine actually fold in and fold out. We turn, so it's the 17th row, so to speak. So on the way down, we apply manure on the 1/17th row, and on the way back, it's the other row that we have to complete. So because we can't just divvy the manure up, flow in the half, we have to pick and choose a row that goes into.
And traditionally, we haven't been able to use a drag hose in growing crop very well. What's the advantage of being able to take your liquid manure with a hose into growing corn, say, for example?
In this instance here, what we're trying to do was to find a way to apply manure over a longer period of time and get away from applying manure pre-planting. Usually what happens is with the guys pre-planting, you end up with a few more days to let the soil dry out due to the ground being smeared over, or even just the extra liquid that you put onto the ground that has to essentially evaporate now before you can get in there, cultivate and plant your crops. What this allows us to do is you plant your crops, we can come in right behind, follow those row crops, whether it's has emerged or whether it is standing up to 42 inches tall. We can drop that liquid down those rows with minimal damage to the crop. What it also gives us for a benefit is that we can apply the nutrients when it's most needed. So we're not applying nutrients up front. We're actually applying nutrients when the crop is growing. And on southwestern Ontario here especially, we always find that drought period there in June. Putting on an extra 5,000 gallons of liquid an acre will definitely be of some value for the growing crop to have a little bit extra moisture. So that essentially is what we set out to do, and that's what we've been able to achieve at this point.
So essentially we're extending the window of application for manure, which really is often the big challenge when you're trying to get that in the spring when it's wet, to get the manure on when you want to.
Yes.
And not hold up the rest of your cropping operation. Always a challenge on the livestock side. Yeah. So what makes this innovative compared to other manure application methods on the market?
Well, we just combined all the different ways of applying manure, and we tried to combine it into one unit that can do it all. So this competes against drag lines. This can compete against a tanker. This essentially can be the one tool that can do it all and limit compaction at the same time. So at the current state, will be priced at a level that it'll be affordable to most operations. And so it makes it a universal tool that can be long-term available to a broad market. So
more flexibility in the drag hose system, less compaction than a tank,
yes,
tanker system, right? And how did you develop this product? You said it was a very quick timeline. What's the process you used to develop it?
We have an in-house design team, including me, and simply just laying awake at nights and dreaming up a way that this could be done. Watching a lot of videos of attempts that were made before, and then just simply working through all the possibilities of problems that could be had, and trying to implement it rather quickly. Other than that, I've had years of experience in the agriculture industry myself and the trucking industry, so I have a broad knowledge base that I bring with me. Plus, we got dedicated staff of 30 employees here that bring all sorts of different knowledges with them. So it really helps to integrate the help of everybody to come up with a new product or a new idea like this here.
Right. And what have you heard from farmers and the market about this product?
So the people that we have talked to, so the OMAFRA people, let it be known the first day we took it out into the open, a lady from OMAFRA drove by. Won't mention her name because I didn't ask permission for. She just happened to drive by and seen us out in the field, so she was rather excited to see what we were doing. And some farmers in the industry that are in the liquid manure side have been excited to see that. Of course, it's been met with some skepticism because we haven't completely field trialed it at this point in time. But for what we've done so far, it's been working flawless. And from what people have seen, it's something to be interested in. Time will only tell at this point in time, I think. But the excitement is definitely building, and we just have to see how things move forward from here.
Right. And when is it available, or where are you at in that the marketing process?
So we'll be ready to start delivering in January. The first unit's been sold, and we're planning on production to start commencing here right shortly.
Okay, good. And is there anything else farmers should know about your reel spreader?
Well, it's the most versatile tool available to get your liquid manure out.
Good. Okay. Thank you for taking the time. I think that's all the questions I had for today. I appreciate you explaining this to us.
Thank you.
Denso North America's tapes have helped seal metal pipes, valves, fittings, and hydraulic connections around the world, and they're now bringing the product to agriculture. Mike Elliott is Business Development Manager with Denso North America, Canada. Welcome to the Innovation Showcase, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell me a bit about Denso and what it does or what you're hoping it can do in the agriculture sector.
Well, Denso, the company itself, has been around for, it's a global privately owned company. It's been around for over 130 years. So we are the manufacturer and wholesale distributor of our products, many of which have been used, as you mentioned, but many have been used for over 80 years around the world. And so Denso takes, we take great pride in the manufacturing of the quality of our product and backing up that quality with exceptional service. And that's what we're hoping to bring to the agricultural sector.
So not a new company, but new to the agriculture sector. How would you describe the products and where they might fit into agriculture?
So we have a wide variety of products, but in particular, the products I think that will be most useful immediately to the agricultural sector would be several of our petrolatum pastes and tapes and outer wraps. Our pastes and tapes are used to help protect certain components from general corrosion, saving the end user or the owner a lot of money and maintenance costs down the road. Our outer wraps get installed over top of our petrolatum tapes to help provide some mechanical protection if the item that's being protected is located in a high traffic area, for example. That's what I'm hoping to introduce to the agricultural sector.
Right. And where is the need in the agriculture market for those products?
Well, my first thought really, not being an expert in agriculture, my first thought would be metal pipe valves fittings that might exist in corrosive environments on livestock farms, for example, like areas with high ammonia, and also hydraulic fittings, hydraulic connections that you mentioned in the introduction on farm equipment. I mean, these big tractors and huge farm equipment that gets used and left outside and exposed to atmospheric conditions. If you have important hydraulic connections, those metal connections can be protected with our tape, which makes them easier to take apart when they're needed to be taken apart when that time comes, right?
Right. So what does it look like actually at the hydraulic connection? How do you use the product right at the connector?
Well, it literally is a roll of tape. So imagine a roll of duct tape, right? It literally looks similar to that. And you unpackage it and literally unroll it, cut the length that you need, wrap it around the fitting, and then it's a semi-solid, right? So the product, you basically just squeeze the tape, massage it, get all the air pockets out, so it's wrapped. It's right around that fitting. There's no voids or air pockets, like I said, and you're done. It's as simple as that.
Right. People on farms have made use of duct tape or electrical tape to patch things and cover things. What's this product do that those other tapes that weren't necessarily meant for those uses? What does the Denso product do?
Well, as you know, if you're a red-green fan, duct tape fixes everything, but it doesn't provide corrosion protection. That's where our products excel. They are hydrophobic. Or they've got hydrophobic inhibitor components to them. It's basically a industrial grade Vaseline with the hydrocarbons removed, right? And that's what our products are. Okay, and so and some of them have a UV inhibitor built into them. Not all of them do, but some of them do, right? And so that's why when I mentioned we have a wide variety of products, it depends on the application. But on a piece of farm equipment, for example, I might recommend our color tape, which has a UV stabilizer built in and doesn't require our paste to be installed on top of the fitting first. So in that sense, they provide corrosion protection. That's the biggest difference between electrical tape and duct tape and whatnot.
What makes it innovative compared to other products, similar products in the marketplace?
Well, I think there's three key features of our petrolatum tape products. One, our products are safe to handle and safe to store. So you can use them with your bare hands. Yeah, you might get a little greasy, but you just wash it off with soap and water. Secondly, our tapes are very easy to install and remove if needed. There's very little surface preparation required. So the metal pipe valve fitting hydraulic connection can have some existing corrosion on it already. And then but if you wrap it with our product, it stops any further corrosion from happening. Okay. And the third key item, I guess, would be it can be applied any time of year, really, truthfully, including in the rain. So if a farmer he's got something happening out in the field, and he's got a roll of tape with him, can easily just wrap his fitting on the farm, a piece of farm equipment, for example, and move on and carry on with their operations. So those would be the three key features.
And where is the product as far as market introduction at this point?
Ground zero. Really, the agricultural sector is a market that we haven't really got to yet. And that's what I'm hoping to change by getting involved in this digital conference, right?
Okay. And is there anything else that you think farmers need to know about your product?
Other than the three key features, no. I mean, like I alluded to before, Denso takes great pride in the quality of our product and also the service that we provide. So we're available. I guess the fourth key feature is that we're available to provide training if necessary, and we're willing to come to site to help anybody who wants to install our product. We want to make sure that it's installed correctly for two reasons. One, so that the applicator, the person who's installing it, understands what they're doing. And then secondly, they get the value out of the product that we know it can provide, right? And we want our product to work well, and it only works well if it's installed properly. So that's the other thing that we do well, I think, is that service, that level of service and training.
Well, thanks for taking the time to tell us about Denso and its tape products today. Mike, thanks for joining us.
I'm happy to participate. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Efficient heating of large spaces is a challenge for agriculture operations. Biomass boilers are an option used by greenhouses, for example, but fusing organic matter and high tech has been challenging. Hyzerman Canada has an automated option with advanced digital controls. Grant Rawcliffe, Marketing and Operations Manager, Rien van den Enden, Sales and Business Development Manager, and Francis Leclerc, Technical Sales and Support from Hyzerman, are here to tell us how their system works. Thank you for being here, and welcome to the Innovation Showcase.
Thank you very much.
So tell me about Hyzerman and what it does in the agriculture sector.
I'll just jump in real quick here. Hyzerman sells fully automated, wood chip and biomass heating systems for small to large farms, greenhouses, rural businesses that let you burn the lowest cost fuel available in a way that's just as convenient as burning propane or oil. And so the great thing about these boilers is they light themselves, they feed themselves, they manage themselves, they clean themselves, they have multiple safety systems and are connected to the internet. So if you want to know kind of how your operation and your boiler system is doing, it's all there for you.
And I'll give you a quick background on the company just itself. So Hyzerman Boilers, they're made in Germany. The company Hyzerman is in Germany. They've been around for 38 years. They've got about 40,000 units around the world. We brought them to Canada about 6 years ago, just because we saw there was a fantastic opportunity. I mean, we're in a country that's surrounded by waste wood. There's just an abundance of it here. And we have very cold winters, so heating obviously is a big issue for especially rural people who don't have access to natural gas. In Hyzerman Canada, we're a family-owned business, a family that comes from a long history of farming. We've paid the high cost of propane. We've had a cordwood boiler that we had to fill morning and night and spend, lots of time cutting, splitting, stacking wood. So for us, personally, it was, it just made sense, and it was just so much easier to manage the heating with a system like this, where you can actually go on vacation and enjoy yourself and not be tied to a heating system that requires daily maintenance.
So how would you describe the automated boiler that you've submitted to the Innovation Showcase?
Well, what I'm going to do, if it works, is I'm going to take you on a quick tour, because we have one here in the office. So Katrina, you're good to come, and I'm going to walk you through it basically so that you can have a little background on it. You can see it, which means it makes a lot more sense. So this is the boiler itself. We'll make the tour pretty quick and not get into too much detail. So this boiler heats about 10,000 square feet. So we call it 100 kilowatt or about 340,000 BTU. On the other side of this wall is our bunker, which is filled with chips, the fuel, and it comes through this auger. So we have an auger feeding from the bunker. You can see, if you open up this, you can see in there the wood chips, and on the end we have this these teeth here, which I'll show you in a better view of those. Because sometimes when you get large chips, it'll break up those chips. Whenever you open up that stuff, it gives us an alarm on the control panel because there's safety switches everywhere. So this here is what we call our rotary safety valve. It's designed for burn back protection. So it's basically like a revolving door that allows us to take the chip, and then it rotates around, and there's 4 blades, and they rotate around and then drop the chip into the bottom auger here, which then feeds into the boiler. That means that if in the case where we ever got a fire coming into this auger, it can't come through here and then up into this auger and then into the bunker. So it's a safety protection system, and it's the primary safety protection system. This is a backup one, which is actually a sprinkler system connected to the domestic water supply. This will dump cold water in. It does detect any fire in this. So I'll show you quickly these in here. So as Reen mentioned, the heat exchanger tubes, which are kind of behind these, are all mechanically cleaned with an auger. And so these augers will rotate every 10-15 minutes for a few seconds, and that allows us to keep those heat exchangers tubed and clean, and all the ash from the heat exchanger tubes will get collected and put into the ash bin at the end of the boiler. So we'll go have a quick look at the other end of the boiler. So this here, you can see the fire in there, and if you can probably see at the bottom there's a chain. And so what happens is that chain will drag the ash out of the boiler, so that we're never having to clean the ash out of the actual fire chamber. So that again will every few minutes it'll move a few inches, and the ash gets pulled down into this kind of area here, and then there's an auger at the bottom which feeds the bin, all the ash outside into a nice tidy little bin, which then you can take away and empty into your compost or your use for gardening. It's fantastic for nutrients. So I'm going to take you outside. So Francis, did you want to mention something about thermal protection?
Yeah, so all the motors on the drive to bring the fuel from the bunker to the boiler have what we call a thermal protection. So if you would have, big rocks jamming in there, big pieces of wood, something like that, and the system, cannot break them, which it can actually do fairly well, the thermal protection will stop the motor before basically it would damage the systems. Back to you, Grant.
Yeah, sure. So outside, this is the bunker where we store the fuel. So this will allow you to store enough fuel for either a week or a month or a year. We have different size bunkers, so that depends on the size of the boiler, how big we can go with the bunker, or how big you want to go with the bunker, and how long you want to be able to run without having to fill it again. So for this system, we have the option of either dumping directly over this wall here, and we can make that wall higher, or we can actually use that opening at the top, and we can use a forage blower to fill it right to the top to get even more fuel in there. If you come and see in the bottom here, we have an agitator system, kind of like a silo unloader. It has a big steel disc in the center, and under that disc are some arms that are sprung. And those arms, as the bunker empties, will stretch out to the edges of the bunker to empty it of all the fuel. So basically they turn, you would have seen them turn just a minute ago, they drag some fuel into that open auger. That open auger then feeds it through to the boiler in the boiler room.
And one way also of loading a bunker is if you own your wood chipper, you have a farm tractor, we sell wood chipper that are PTO driven. You can actually produce your wood chips and blow them directly into your bunker, which is what I do here up in BC.
So tell me, what was the need in the market that you identified to fill with this product?
I'll just field this question. Commercial farm operations need modern, reliable, automated heating systems and solutions. And when they don't have access to natural gas, their operations, they have their options are, propane, oil, and wood. Now, wood is just as plentiful, if not more so, than oil and natural gas, oil and propane. But in the case of railway disruptions, with wood, you now have a very stable and low-cost fuel source. And the agriculture sector has unique challenges compared to other sectors. It's obvious when a company has dedicated itself to building a product from the ground up that was designed to meet the needs of farmers in the farming community, because what you end up with is a product that's so finely tuned to their needs. It seems like our boiler systems were custom designed for each of them. So we wanted to fill the market. We wanted to bring to market something that was, that works just as hard as all the other equipment that they have made significant investments in. And this wood heating system is highly efficient, does a fantastic job. It'll last for many, many years, 20 or 30 years. And it's just what we see is now an essential part of of what makes up farm equipment. What makes up the farm? A very reliable wood-based heating system.
Oh yeah, I was just going to add quickly. We put them in with poultry farms, and one of them was operating on a wood boiler themselves. So we're talking 1.2 million BTUs there, which is a big boiler, and the amount of wood they had to cut and stack and split, and then feed the boiler multiple times a day. You're constantly feeding that thing, and so for him, the focus was he wanted to spend time doing other things. I mean, there's so many more productive things he can grow his business rather than spending his time on those sort of things or hiring people and the costs associated with that. So he just saw that it was efficient. He'd be able to load the bunker, run the boiler for a month without really touching it, right?
And quickly, our boilers are designed to burn multiple fuels, so we can go from sawdust to wood pellets for farmers down in southern prairies where there's no wood. They're switching to wood pellets instead of coal, so they get access to renewable energy and not fossil fuel and get away from the carbon tax. And multiple biomass like hemp fiber. I mean, there's multiple things that farmer produce that becomes a waste, corn stalks and stuff like that can all be burned in the boiler if it's chopped properly and has the right moisture content. So very, very flexible heating system, and not just solely based on wood chips.
And what makes this system innovative compared to other products on the market?
So basically, there's lots of boilers out there, but Hyzerman is always trying to improve and improve and improve. So this year we came up with a electrostatic particle separation system. And so they're using electricity to gather the very, very fine dust particle that would otherwise, go out the chimney, and to collect them and get them to clump together and then dump them back into the boiler to basically send them to the ash bin. So if you have like a greenhouse operation, for example, or you're close to a city and you're concerned about your dust emission, basically we have that system available that takes very little room. And then we'll share my screen here and show you a couple of pictures of that, what it can look like. So the HyzoClean EF185 is the name of the system. And so it's been tested in Europe, and now it's coming to Canada. So basically you see the fins that are spinning here on and off. And so this is the fins that are sitting inside the flue gas pipe. There's 1 or 2 or 3 of them, depending on the size of the boiler. So we put high electricity on the fins, and we collect the particles on them. And as they touch them, the dust particles are negatively charged, and this is positively charged. The particle sticks and clump together, so they get much bigger. And then when we release the electricity, they all fall down. So we have basically the system. This is the outside of it, basically. And then we also, I'll show you what it looks like when it's installed on the boiler. So this is the top of a boiler, and these are 2 of the 3 that are installed. Above here is our flue gas blower. So the purpose of that is to extract the flue gas fumes out of the boiler and keep the combustion chamber under vacuum, under pressure, and not under pressure, but below pressure. And then this way we have less chances of having the fire going back towards the bunker. And we extract the flue gas with this device here. But before it goes out, the electrostatics filter grabs all the dust particles and sends them back into the boiler. So that's one of the innovation. The second one is Grant was talking about the rotary valve earlier. We've seen a system similar like that into his boiler room. So the rotary valve in the past would basically try to cut the wood, and if it was too hard, it would stop, send a signal through email to say, hey, I got a blockage here, come and help me. So what Hyzerman has done now is they changed their software, and we have a reversible rotary valve, which will turn back and try a few more times to try to shear or move that piece that's a little bit too big to go through. So instead of having an instant blockage, it will try to process it, put it this way, and then it might save the time to the owner of the boiler to have to go back and pull a piece that would be too big. It might actually be able to shear it the second or the third time. And if it doesn't work, it will back off slightly. So when you open the trap here at the top that Grant had open, then you can pull the chunk that's out, that was stuck, and then put the boiler back to work, basically. One last thing I want to talk about is all our control panel parts are basically about 90% made by Siemens, which is all available here in Canada. So it's great because you open the control panel, you can find basically just about all the parts in Canada. The odd one we don't have here, we keep them in stock behind Grant. You see our stock at the back there of parts. So basically what Siemens doing is working with Hyzerman, and they're coming up with a new touchscreen panel, basically, that is on the control panel. And they're allowing us to put some input into it and say, hey, what do you need to make your system work better? So Hyzerman and Siemens are actually working together to come up with a new control panel that will be quite a bit more user-friendly. It'll be easier to control, better graphics. It'll be more flexible for Hyzerman. They'll be able to program the control panel more accurately. So this what we'll do in the end, it's going to give us higher efficiency for the boiler system. And then it will also allow us to have a newer app, which will be a little bit more user-friendly future to control our boilers at a distance. So if you're at the beach in Mexico and you got Wi-Fi, you can play, well, at least monitor your boiler and then make sure that your farm is nice and warm. Okay.
What type of farms have you seen people use this on?
Well, we've sold them basically from BC to PEI. So we've got hog farms, we've got poultry farms, quite a few little smaller farms. But typically, you need to be heating about 6,000 square feet. So a farm with a shop or something. We have a guy in Wellesley. He built his own cordwood boiler and used it for years, but he got pretty tired of that. And his son was taking over the farm. And his son didn't want to do that work, and so he was very keen on the system, and he was the one who actually pushed his dad to get it. And their comments are just that it's so easy, right? He goes out to his shop, and the shop's warm. He checks on the boiler every day, and there's nothing to do. He just takes him, I think he says, about an hour to fill the bunker, and that bunker runs for a month. So, he's just wrapped. He says he actually looks forward to winter now rather than all the work he used to do for his old boiler. So, it could be any system. We've got systems that'll, do, 3 megawatts, right? So, which is a huge, you're heating 300,000 square feet. So, if it's a greenhouse, if it's, sawmills, we've got quite a few sawmills because they have all that waste product. But, it's just really any sort of rural business where they're not on natural gas. This is when it really makes sense.
And how has the market reacted to the product?
Our customers love it. So, it's new. The challenge is, people don't know about it. Right? They think of wood heating and they think of all the hassles of cordwood boiler. And then, propane and oil, well, it's nice and convenient, but it's expensive. And so you've got those two sides. You've got the guys doing the cordwood because they don't want to pay the money, but they're tired of the hassle. And then you've got the bigger guys who don't want to deal with the wood because it is a lot of hassle, but they're paying more than they really need to. What this allows us to do is have both, right? You can have your cake and eat it. But people don't know about it, and so that's been our process, is really getting out in front of people. That's why we go to the Outdoor Farm Show, because people walk past and they are fascinated by this technology. And honestly, we don't sit down the whole time we're there. There's a constant stream of traffic and inquiries and people interested in it. So people love the idea of it. It makes so much sense, especially here in Canada, and so it's growing quickly, but we're very, very early in the phase of the development of the market.
Okay, thanks a lot. And what else do you think farmers should know about your product? Is there anything we've missed?
I'd like to give you a little bit of my personal history on what happened. Basically, I was like Grant. I was doing the cordwood boilers for 15 years. Got injured, couldn't feed it no more. Switched to propane. Didn't like that very much. Then changed lifestyle, moved to the mountains, bought a hobby farm, and then we decided okay, we're going to go stick to wood here because it's all propane. We have no natural gas. Through some friends in Germany that have Hyzerman Boiler, a friend that sells the wood chippers, I decided, you know what, I'd like to invest some money in freedom so I can enjoy the mountains here and take care of the animals and spend some time with my kids. So that's how I met Grant and Katrina. And basically, I ordered a boiler. And then I just loved it so much. I said, hey, looking for somebody. I'm bilingual. Maybe I can help a bit. And so, I bought a chipper, bought a boiler, and we're heating our place here. Now we've got a heated greenhouse coming up because we've got the extra heat.
Well, thank you all for taking the time to speak to me today. And we look forward to having you in the Innovation Showcase at Canada's Digital Farm Show.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
HFL Fabricating has created the Biomass Builder row unit, and today I'm talking to Rick Hendricks, president of HFL Fabricating. Welcome to the Innovation Showcase, Rick.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
So tell me about HFL Fabricating and what it does in the agriculture sector.
So HFL has been around for 20 years, roughly. We've been we do mostly manufacturing of small lines. We manufacture the laneway grader, which is our most famous. That along with our other graders like the tile trench grader. We build crop dividers for sprayers. We do build seed drills and toolbars, along with our new biomass builder. We have a farming base, and we do lots of repair work. We do a lot of repair work that involves redesigning what somebody else failed at. So we do a lot of problem solving. We also are connected outside of agriculture. Agriculture is about 50% of our business. The other 50% goes to concrete forming equipment, and also a couple of recreational pieces like the Rick Cycle and the Aqua Zip.
Okay, thanks. And how would you describe the product that you've submitted to the Innovation Showcase, the Biomass Builder row unit?
The Biomass Builder is a cover crop seeder side dressing unit. It's designed to lay 3 rows of varying products such as dry or liquid, seed or fertilizer, with variable row widths in between variable row widths. The variability will also allow to do other jobs on the farm, such as relay cropping, strip fertilizing, and even weed control in crop.
So what was the need in the market that you identified that needed to be filled with this product?
So in trying to interseed myself, I came to realize that laying seed on top was a thing that farmers were doing to try to keep costs of the machine down. I quickly realized that that doesn't work. Seeds must be put in the ground to grow. We also looked at making a machine with existing row units, and it becomes cost inefficient. We also thought that side dressing should be done at the same time to save time, and also tramping of headlands, and a 3-inch row unit could not fit in such a tight space. So our Biomass Builder solves all those problems. The market needed a way to plant cover crops into the ground along with side dressing at a reasonable price point.
It's certainly been one of the concerns I hear about cover crops and interseeding them is getting it right into the ground, and people that have done it well, like getting it into the ground. So what makes it innovative compared to other products in the marketplace? That there are individual solutions to some of those problems. Your product seems to do quite a bit.
So other products have stuck with traditional row units. Our rows can be configured with as low as 3.75 inches apart. So 3 3/4, which is half of 7.5. This will allow side dress and interseeding 2 rows in a side dressing and interseeding in 2 rows in a 20-inch corn row. So its design also allows for triple 30-inch planting versus twin 30-inch, which may help when relay cropping. The row unit is also very adaptable to different configurations. Can even be used to strip freshen and put dry fertilizer into the zone. So it's got a lot of variation to it. Adaptability is its main key function.
And so, tell us what it looks like. For how would you describe it to a farmer? Compared to a traditional row unit or a strip till machine.
Actually, it kind of looks like a strip tiller. When I've been at a show this spring, I mean, the common thought process is this is a strip tiller, and that's their first thought that it is. And then when I tell them that, hey, this isn't for that, this does something else, then they get all shocked so what it's got, it has the look of a strip tiller in that it has many different coulters and gangs and press wheels and such on it, and it's a fairly long row unit. So that's essentially what it looks like. But it has three different injection points that we're looking at. So.
Mm-hmm. And how would a farmer put it to use in their operation? Where would it fit on a typical crop farm?
So on a typical crop farm, I mean, some of the guys that are doing hay don't side dress, but anybody who side dresses basically wouldn't change hardly anything. I guess they would sell their side dresser, buy a side dresser with interseeding, and essentially pour in extra seed versus just putting in liquid fertilizer. So,
right.
So it fits in very easy.
Right, and then some of the other. So could you use it as a strip tiller? Are some people doing that?
People haven't used it for that yet. However, I wouldn't say it's a strip tiller. I would say it's good for strip freshening, perhaps. I wouldn't say it has the down pressure or the weight to carry to do strip tilling itself.
Right, and it needs to be a little bit lighter to fit between the rows. I expect to be able to do the interseeding you're wanting to do.
And also trying to keep the cost down. If you look at a regular strip tiller, they're between $5,000 and $7,000 a row. So that makes it, if I build something for that much, guys won't interseed anymore either. So
right. And so, how did you develop this product? What was the process that your company used?
So we also at HFL actually stands for Hendricks Farms Limited. So we own land. So our first thing we try to do is we try to do testing and try to do it as cheaply as we can. That's our first process, is to try and put some plants down, see what we look at, and then we work from there and try to develop something for our own farm. Once it fits on our own farm, that's when we start to talk to the neighbors and get them to try it, get them to look at it, give me their input. So we kind of develop it as farmers, for farmers.
Right. And then how has the market reacted to the product so far?
So far, we're getting some pretty good thumbs ups. We've got, I had a guy pull in this winter who was not ready to pull the trigger, and he thought he could do it himself. He pulled in this spring and watched it in the field, and he has already said, let's go. It's a go. So anybody who sees it, anybody who's tried to do this, anybody who's interested in interseeding, their uptake is pretty quick, and I think it'll sell pretty quickly right now.
Okay, good. And what else should farmers know about your product? Is there anything else we haven't talked about they should know about?
I think I've touched a little bit on it, but the adaptability. Once you see the row unit, you'll understand just how adaptable it is to many configurations and many situations, and our toolbar as well that we hook to it. Our toolbar has a 3-point on the front and back of it, so we can configure this machine in many different ways. I've had somebody actually configure it one way and then come back to me the next year and we configured it a second way for them. So configuration and adaptability is really what our middle name is around here. So
good. Well, thank you for introducing us to your row unit, and thanks a lot for talking to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
The growing interest in cover crops and precision application of fertilizer have meant opportunity for Montag manufacturing, and that's shown in its 2108 metering system. Bill Rood with Montag is here to tell us about it. Welcome to the Innovation Showcase, Bill.
Thank you.
So tell me, tell us quickly a bit about Montag and what it does in the agriculture sector.
Montag has been in business for about 20 or so years, and they have developed a technology for metering and delivering dry granular product. using an Airstream to do it. And they've done it for a long time. They've had very good success with their first generation of products, and they had been primarily used for distributing fertilizer to strip-till machines and to corn planters. And a number of years ago, they developed a second generation platform. Again, it allowed a 2-commodity system, and again, it was quite accurate as well, or more accurate, and unprecedented accuracy, I should say. It allowed people to put 2 different commodities on at the same time. They've extended that technology into a few more models, and the one we're highlighting today is the 2108, which is a smaller unit that is intended for putting cover crops on with various tillage tools, whether it be a high-speed disc or a vertical tillage tool, or any other kind of tillage tool would work.
And what was the need in the market that led to the creation of this product?
It was felt and it was seen that in the market needed something for planting cover crops with the tillage tools that I mentioned before. Like, people are applying cover crops in many creative ways, and they needed a metering system to do that. And this particular one, there's 2 choices for the size of the tank. You can go with 30 cubic feet or 50 cubic feet.
And what makes this innovative compared to other products on the market?
It's a very, very accurate system. It's very simple to mount. We meter the product directly into the Airstream as opposed to using a Venturi. Right. And that allows it actually to use a lower velocity of air, which means it uses less hydraulic capacity to run the whole thing. It only requires about 20 gallons per hour or per minute to run it. And so it's miserly in terms of its needs, hydraulic needs, and we have the Montag dry rate controller system on it that we can really, really accurately meter the product. We can meter from, say, for seed rye, you can meter anywhere from 5 pounds per acre to 90 pounds per acre at 10 miles an hour.
And what's the advantage of it being miserly with hydraulic demand? Well,
all the other equipment that you're using with the tractor, the tillage tool or whatever, all those things require some hydraulics for lifting and folding and all those kinds of things. So it conserves hydraulic capacity, which also will conserve fuel, I guess. So
right. And how are farmers using it? How are they putting it to use on their farms?
Again, they're mounting it on those kinds of tools that I mentioned earlier. Some are actually using it for strip till as well, a smaller strip till units. There guys are using it for that. So you can, as I say, about anything that is dry and granular and can be metered can be put into this thing to be metered.
Right. And how was the product developed? What's the process that's used by Montag to develop these sorts of products?
Well, the Montag family themselves, they studied the market. Roger Montag is a very innovative person, and he assesses the market, and they can see what the needs are, and they develop something accordingly. Okay. And this Generation 2 platform, the 2108, is part of that. And this Generation 2 platform, it covers a wide variety of uses.
And how has the market reacted to the product so far?
Really good. This thing is very new. So far, unfortunately, we don't have one in Ontario yet. I'm hoping we'll see that happen soon. But the response is positive in that it's growers can see that it can see its usefulness, I guess, is the right words.
And is there anything else we should know about the 2108 and its development or its capabilities?
Yeah, as I say, it can be mounted to almost anything. There is a video, and I think we're going to try and get it to you, that shows it mounted on a rotary hoe, and a guy is applying cover crop seed with a rotary hoe. So that's a very innovative idea.
Good. Okay, well, that's great. Thanks for explaining the 2108 to us, Bill, and thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Managing manure can be tricky, and mistakes can have significant consequences. Luckily, there have been new tools come on the market that make precision control of manure equipment easier. SonovaWorks Broadcaster 1 Plus is one of those. John Van Leerup, president of SnovaWorks, is here to tell us about it. Welcome to the Innovation Showcase, John.
Thank you for having us.
So tell me a bit about SnovaWorks first and what it does in the agriculture sector.
So SnovaWorks is a small company in Oxford County. We have a group of unique people. It's a small group of folks, but very tuned in into what we're trying to achieve in regarding to remote controllers for the ag business.
And then Broadcaster One Plus. Tell me what it is and what it does. What do you tell a farmer when they ask what it does?
So Broadcaster One Plus is a revolution of Broadcaster One, as we built that like 10 years ago to today to Broadcaster Two integration, almost like to simplify more the single pump guys again. Broadcaster One at that time when we came out with it had radio control only, had hopping technology. Now with Broadcast One Plus, we have all of that. Plus we have also cell phone connection. So it's cell out of the box basically with a option of radio to make the Broadcast One extendable basically with 8 in or outputs, and also more affordable compared to the Broadcaster 2 that gives you way more options and capabilities.
Tell me, how is it used on the farm? How is it put to use by people that are pumping manure?
Yeah, so Broadcaster in general is used to help with labor cost, I guess. Like instead of having 2 or 3 guys running multiple pump setups, we can do it now with a remote in a tractor and 1 guy. You still might need a fellow to set up and kind of make sure everything is working good to start with, but after that, the guy in the tractor is on its own. So it's a cost labor saving technology, I guess. With that, we want to make sure it's redundant, that they're always connected and safe. So we focused a lot on the outlet pressure side, which we call the safety side, I guess, and the inlet side we use. We usually use that for control for multiple pumps.
Tell me what was the need in the market for the Broadcaster One Plus?
So, like I mentioned, it's harder to get good people lined up, and I mean that in a way that technology helps with that, and that's what we're trying to provide, to kind of make things more automatic, automated if needed, but not necessarily if they don't want it. It's basically a remote controller doing the same from a remote location versus standing at the pump. So it can be either or. It can be fully automated or not fully, but quite a ways, or it still be used as a manual controller, but then just from a remote location.
And what does it mean for safety when you're pumping manure to have different options for control and redundancies?
Yes, and that's a good question because safety, it comes down to if you're pumping, for example, 3,000 gallons a minute. Here in Ontario, it's probably most guys a little less. 3,000 gallons a minute, and your hose bursts, and you have no control on knowing that it's actually that you have a hose burst. You pump a lot of manure out in the field. That's problematic. So what we have out there is you can set the maximum outlet pressure to, let's say, 180 psi, and when the pressure goes up, up to 179, it automatically stays below 180. That's safety number 1. And the other one we have is like if a hose burst and there's a pressure drop, instant pressure drop, we see that as well, and we idle the engine down to idle.
And then tell me why this product's innovative compared to other products on the market.
I guess mainly, of course, there's other remote systems out there. Mainly what we're best at is the redundancy of different communications, so a different way we communicate. So as I mentioned before, we have radio, and it's point-to-point or mesh networking radio. We can do either or. We have a cell communication over satellite, and we have satellite as well. And now with the Broadcast One Plus, we have the cell phone, what I call cell phone direct, which is like your regular phone network. So we have 4 different ways, that is redundant to communicate on. If cell phone connection is not there, you can talk on radio or through cell phone through satellite or satellite, and so on. Or if you have a blockage in land and you have a hill you have to deal with, we can put a repeater on top of the hill and still communicate by radio if you like, or rely on the network for the cell connection.
And you've developed some interesting products there in your shop. Can you talk to us about how you go about developing products for agriculture?
Yeah, our company is based on focus really on problem solving, especially practical in-field issues that people are dealing with. And we like to hone into those and see what we can do to help solve those problems, to make the farmers and custom outfits more effective, get more capacity potential, save money on labor, those kind of things. That's kind of what drives us, is like a problem solving. I guess that's probably say it right, a problem solving company.
And what have people said so far about the Broadcaster One Plus product? Where is it in market availability, and what have people said so far?
So at this point, Broadcast One Plus is still, we're at the final testing stages right now. So we have a number of units out there that we're testing right now in Europe as well as here in Ontario at the moment. Up to this point, it does what we were expecting. It's working well. It's fast, reliable. It gives us the ability to run our portal with the network, so we can actually see what they have been doing, how much they have been pumping, what the pressures were. Also, all the engine vitals will be shown on the portal. So there's a lot there to lock stuff, right? So we call it a little bit here internally telematics and steroids with control, right? And control is the really special part that we fill in. I mean, there's a lot of telematics out there, but we can make that work really well, plus control real time.
And is there anything else that farmers or custom operators should know about the product?
It can be used for single pump units or multiple pumps. It could be used for a small system or a larger system. It could be used obviously for ag business, but also for dewatering, oil and gas, any other commercial type of pumping. We sold some for a drag or dredging. That's been working well. So I guess if you want safety and redundancy, and you want to stay connected all the time and have control over all your pumps, then this would be a real good option to look at.
Well, thank you for taking the time to explain it to me.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.